A number of atheists have tried to take the design element out of reality. They want to say everything is simple chance and physical necessity. Nobody purposed anything. And in the course of it, a number of them have said over the years that given enough time, anything can happen at least once. And a number have said, to illustrate that point, that given enough time, an army of monkeys just hitting typewriter keys would come up with the complete works of Shakespeare. Well, I think we understand what's being said. And I suppose there's no way to shut that claim down, however incredible we think it is. It'll continue to be, the point will continue to be made. But we certainly don't believe that it would happen within the 15 to 20 billion years the universe is said to exist. Astronomer Fred Hoyle turned from all that talk and said it simply didn't work. He said it requires more miracles than the miracles that are in the Bible. Former atheist Anthony Flew walked away from it as well to a weak theism. He rejected his atheism. He said, you have to go where the evidence leads. And now he says that Richard Dawkins's atheism is comical, especially his attempts to show that everything just started with inorganics and then went from there. Even supposing the monkey claim was true, and we ended up with a word-for-word copy of Shakespeare's entire works, we still wouldn't have the equivalent to Shakespeare's work. Why is that? Because Shakespeare's work is a work of authorial intent and purpose. There was a person, Shakespeare, who fully intended to write what he wrote. What the monkeys would produce would be a mindless collection of marks that just happened to agree, letter for letter, mark for mark, with what Shakespeare had purposed, thought through, and wrote. The two end results are nothing like one another. Even if the monkey work came in two nicely bound leather volumes, better than the shabby-looking originals must have been. One is a mindless chance collocation of atoms, and the other is purposed reflection and the execution of that purpose. Just one actual event, just one actual person in history creates all kinds of havoc for these fancy theories. Just suppose this army of purposeless, long-lived monkeys produced an artifact that duplicated Shakespeare's work. Imagine then some brilliant physicist of the future picking it up and using it to deny that there ever was a Shakespeare who wrote such things as Hamlet or Julius Caesar. And his argument? His argument would be, there was no Shakespeare. He didn't write these things because mindless monkeys were able to duplicate it. Actual history's against them. So we can see that the argument they make based on the magical performance of the monkeys, is ludicrous. But even if that weren't true, simple common sense would bury it. Duplicating someone's work doesn't prove they didn't exist and that they didn't do the work in the first place. Suppose this army of monkeys grew in intelligence as the millions of years dragged by, and they came to understand and enjoy Shakespeare's work, and then suppose they chose to copy it. It would still be nonsense to say there had been no Shakespeare who wrote those works originally. You often hear that kind of thing said. Look, brilliant scientists can do things that you say God did. Therefore, God didn't do them. That's sheer nonsense. Atheism just doesn't work at any level. Look, if it takes intelligent monkeys to purpose to duplicate Shakespeare's work, it makes no sense to say, therefore, mindless monkeys could do it. Let me repeat what I said just a moment ago. A chance collection of words is not the same as Shakespeare's work, even if that collection agrees word for word and mark for mark with Shakespeare's work. A brilliant scientist may be able to splice some genes and produce a desired result. Let's say the cure of some disease. But try telling him that all his years of work and purpose is nothing more than what could happen by sheer accident and chance. An army of mindless monkeys could do the same work given the time. He wouldn't be impressed. Try and tell Stephen Weinberg and Richard Dawkins, guys like that all that they have in their heads and all the work they did could be done by mindless monkeys given the time. They wouldn't be impressed either. None of this chatter works in the real world. In the real world, rational people don't believe that blind blazing chance brings about purposed results. No wonder Hoyle and Flew and Clayton and others walked away from the droning of people like Dawkins and Weinberg and lesser lights like Sam Harris and Daniel Dennett. Now, design has a designer, and what you see in the world, however you are distressed by some of what you see, design leads you to believe that there is someone or someones behind it all. Then you bring in the Scripture. And the Scripture, culminating in Jesus Christ, says, there is one true God, all-powerful and all-wise, and He has brought the world, the creation, into existence, and has done other things as well, as He brings us to glory, the love of righteousness, the enjoyment of peace and prosperity, when He has fully, completely, and altogether dealt with our sinful, alienation from him and from one another.